If you did not receive a letter from the Social Security Administration telling you the four major changes that happened in April 2025 with your Social Security benefits, you are not alone because they did not mail any letter. This is very unusual for the Social Security Administration to make major changes and not mail letters to beneficiaries. But that's where we are. But that is why I'm here to bring you the details so that you would know what these changes are and how you can prepare for them. Now, I'm also going to talk about some other changes that have happened in 2025 with Social Security. And then there is a surprise $6,000 payment that some of you have received. Actually, 3 million Social Security beneficiaries received it in April. I've been getting comments about it and questions, and I'm going to explain what this surprise payment that is hitting your bank account is about. And we are going to get into the details. I am Kwame Kwade. I am a personal finance expert and an entrepreneur. For 15 years, I have been helping seniors get the Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid benefits that they deserve. We started with websites and we are now adding video content. I'm also an adjunct professor. I teach entrepreneurial finance at one of the most prestigious universities in the United States. So let's get started. If you're new here, I appreciate your support. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And then, as always, as I do in my broadcast, I want to know where you're watching this from. Go into the comments, do me a favor, and tell me your city and your state. But let's dive into these breaking news. So all these changes happened in April, and they did not mail letters to you telling you your benefits are going to be impacted. So let's talk about it. So first, the introduction. Major Social Security policy changes that have happened, and here is what you need to know. The new in-person identity verification rule will now take effect April 14th. So that has already started. Instead of March the 31st, they pushed it back a little bit. The delay offers additional time for seniors and other affected individuals to prepare for new requirements and understand how this might impact them. So who is exempt from these new rules? Well, Medicare, disability, and SSI applicants are exempt from the in-person verification if they cannot complete the online process. Why are they exempting these people? It's because if you're applying for disability, especially, you are going to have to go to the Social Security Administration at some point anyway. And so it does not make sense to put the ID verification in front of you at the beginning when you're going to go there at some point anyway. That's why they've been exempted. But for all other seniors that are applying for Social Security benefits or making changes to their benefits, this new ID rule apply. These changes aim to reduce fraud, but also create challenges for seniors and vulnerable populations. And understanding the impact of these changes is going to be critical. So let's talk about it. So what's happening? Retirement, people who are applying for retirement benefits and survivor benefits applicants must verify their identity in person if they cannot do so online. This requirement aims to reduce fraudulent claims, but could place burden on those without internet access or those who have difficulty traveling. And then there's another policy for overpayment. Starting March the 27th, Social Security Administration is going to withhold 100% benefits to recover overpayment. This is big deal because over 3 million Social Security and disability beneficiaries each year end up in an overpayment situation. So you may get a letter soon telling you that you owe money to the Social Security Administration. I'm going to explain to you why that happens and what you can do. This change in policy significantly increases the financial impact on beneficiaries who have received overpayments requiring immediate and full repayment. And then there's COLA. You already know about the 2.5% increase in COLA that only gave you $40 on average. So we're not going to talk about that. But the next significant thing we should talk about is staff reduction at the Social Security Administration and what that means for you. The SSA is cutting thousands of jobs and closing field offices, impacting customer service. As a result, beneficiaries may experience longer wait times when seeking assistance with their benefits, which is further complicating the process. So who is affected by all these changes that are happening in Social Security, especially the ID rules? This is the major change that has happened. So pay attention here. Those applying for retirement benefits or auxiliary Social Security benefits must verify their identity in person if they cannot do so online. Let me explain what that means. So if you're trying to apply for benefits or you're trying to make changes to your benefit, usually you could do so over the phone, sometimes online. Now they are saying that there's another step you have to go through, which is creating an identity verification account with id.me or login.gov. That is how you're going to authenticate that you are who you say you are before you can move to the next step of doing whatever it is you want to do with the Social Security Administration, whether you're applying for new benefits or trying to make changes like direct deposit changes to your benefits. And then, as I mentioned, anyone who owes the Social Security Administration money is going to be impacted by the new rule where they're going to take 100% of your benefits. And SSI recipients are exempted from the 100% rule. They are only going to take 10% of your money if you owe overpayment and are on SSI benefits. Now, with the pushback, when the Social Security Administration rolled this out, they also took away a lot of the phone services. And this was Elon Musk that did this. He didn't think that the Social Security Administration should be spending so much money on providing phone services or customer service via phone. So he eliminated about 50% of that phone function. There was a lot of pushback from Congress, a lot of people on Social Security pushback. So that portion of the change has been rolled back a little bit. So here's what that means. After public outcry, the Social Security Administration reversed plans to eliminate phone applications for retirement and survivor benefits. This is a major win for the 40% of seniors who lack reliable internet or struggle with digital systems and have to rely on the phone to apply or make changes to their benefits. And then without phone services, nearly 4 million additional office visits would have been required annually, overwhelming local Social Security offices and creating longer wait times. And this is also crucial for rural and disabled seniors. Phone services are essentially vital for rural residents and those with mobility challenges who may face long travel distances to the nearest office. Maintaining this option ensures equity for all. And then the Social Security Administration, however, will continue real-time verification during phone calls to combat direct deposit scams and identity theft. This helps protect both beneficiaries and the trust fund. Now, there is $100,000 fine that was just introduced that you need to know. This just came in April. As I mentioned, there's been major changes in April you need to be aware of. So there's going to be civil penalties for fraud, which has been increased to $10,000 per offense, aimed at deterring scams and protect the Social Security Trust Fund. However, some advocates worry that this could make seniors hesitant to file claims if they fear paperwork errors. Now, there's a project that they just launched called Are You Alive Project. The Social Security Administration now requires seniors over age 90. So if you know somebody in your family that is over 90 and collecting Social Security, this is particularly important for them. The Social Security Administration now requires seniors over age 90 to complete periodic check-ins to confirm they are alive and eligible. This has reduced erroneous. Basically, what they're doing is that Elon Musk has been claiming that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people over 100-year-old who are collecting Social Security benefits. A lot of information has come back that has said that is definitely not true. But they still believe that that is true, that there are thousands and thousands on the Social Security payroll that are not eligible. So now, if you're over 90 years old, you have to check in with the Social Security Administration regularly, letting them know that you are still alive and you should be collecting benefits. So if you know somebody that is 90, obviously when people are 90 years old, some of them may not be able to check in, and have the energy and be able to deal with this bureaucracy and check in with the Social Security Administration. So if you have a relative or a friend that is, you need to let them know that this is the situation, and then maybe they need a representative to deal with the Social Security Administration on their behalf. But this is the problem. most people don't know that this went in effect. Artificial intelligence now flags suspicious activity requiring in-person verification. So they're using AI to flag a lot of people if they suspect that you are fraudulent, and then they're going to require you to come to the office and verify that you are who you say you are. Many people support stronger fraud verification. Some seniors and advocates warn that increased scrutiny could delay or complicate access to most vulnerable people. And then there is the new overpayment rule. There are 3 million people on Social Security and disability every year that get a letter from the Social Security Administration that they owe money. And now this is about to get really serious and scary. So if you receive a letter from the Social Security Administration after March the 27th, 2025, that you owe money, the Social Security Administration will withhold your entire monthly benefit, whether you're on Social Security or disability, until the debt is repaid. This means you could receive no Social Security or disability payment until you've repaid everything. Now, how does this happen? Well, even if the Social Security Administration made a mistake in calculating your benefit and they ended up paying you more money than you were eligible for, and this went on for months or years, and they finally caught on to their own error and send you a letter that you owe $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, by law, they're still going to cut your benefit. They're going to stop sending you money, your benefit, and they're going to use that money to pay all the debt that you owe to Social Security until it's all paid off. Previously, they only took 10%, but now they are back to 100%. So the return to 100% withholding is intended to speed up recovery and save the program $7 billion over a decade. If you're on SSI, the only exemption is SSI. You only get 10% withdrawal. So if you're on Social Security retirement benefit, spousal benefits, survivor benefits, or you're on disability, SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, this 100% rule applies to you. If you get a letter like this, you can appeal or you can apply for a waiver, but you have to do it within 30 days, because if you apply for an appeal or a waiver within 30 days of receiving the letter, by law, Social Security cannot go further with collections until they've made a decision on your appeal or your waiver. So if you get an overpayment letter, the smartest thing to do is to file an appeal if you think it is an error, or file for a waiver if you think you cannot pay. But do not ignore the letter and sit on it, because they will stop your Social Security benefits and use that money to pay your overpayment until it's all paid off. Now, what can you do right now if you're on Social Security benefits to avoid all this chaos with the new rules? Well, starting April 14th, you cannot use the online system to make direct deposit changes. Existing recipients will have to verify their identity if they want to do that. So it's important to know that if you are trying to make direct deposit changes to your Social Security benefits, you may have to go to the office to do that. And if you want to just avoid the chaos and have easy access to your benefits, you should create a Social Security account online, verify yourself through login.gov or id.me, update your information on the Social Security website, make sure your address, your phone number, everything is there and is current, so that you can avoid all this chaos around being asked to come to the office to do simple things that you previously could do online and could do over the phone. So take action now. If you have to make a direct deposit change, if you have to, if you don't have access to online benefits, like if you cannot see your Social Security benefits online, you should try and create an account, because it's going to save you so much hassle, so much headache, because you can see everything, including notices. They can send you Social Security notices online and in the mail, but at least you can get ahead of these changes that are happening. And especially when there's an overpayment situation, you can get ahead of it very quickly. Now, there are other changes that have happened already in 2025. We are just towards the end of April, and so much has happened. So let me walk you very quickly through the 10 other changes that have happened to Social Security this year. And then I'll talk about the $6,000 surprise payment that some seniors have been receiving. So stay tuned. Let's get into it. So I talked about the $10,000 fine already. That is one of the changes that have happened. And seniors over 90 years old have to check in to show that they are still alive and should be receiving Social Security benefits. And then the amount of credit you need to qualify for Social Security per quarter went up from 1,640 years to $40 to 1,730. Why is this important? Well, people who are in the gig economy, about 25% of freelancers and gig workers are going to be impacted by this because their pay is usually irregular. So to make that money in a quarter to be able to earn a credit for Social Security is going to be a challenge for some people. Medicare Part B. Let me talk about Medicare for a second. And I also have something at the end about Medicare. Stay tuned. It is a way to save money, $1,100 a year on Medicare. But let's talk about this for a second. So your Social Security cost of living went up by 2.5%. But then your Medicare premium went up by 5.4%. And this has been happening a lot. That is why seniors cannot keep up, because Medicare and medical and healthcare prices keep going up faster than Social Security increases. So Medicare Part B premium rose by 5.4% to $176 per month, eating up 40% of the average COLA increase. Remember, the average senior got only 40% on average a month increase in Social Security benefits. And 40% of that money was eaten up by COLA, by the Medicare Part B premium, which is taken out from your Social Security check. And so there's nothing you can do about it. Seniors earning over $103,000 will even pay more. They will pay $594 for Medicare Part B, and that only affects 8% of beneficiaries. Now, there's some good news with Medicare. The Inflation Reduction Act put a $35 cap on insulin, and now there's a drug annual cap. This is going to save a lot of people because some seniors spend thousands and thousands of dollars each year on prescription drug, co-pays, and other costs. And now there's $2,000 cap on that. That is huge. So once you pay $2,000 for your covered medication, everything else is going to be covered by Medicare. Lawmakers and advocacy groups are pushing for further Medicare premium reforms so that COLA increases will not be consumed by Medicare Part B premium. This is one of the things that Congress can do this year to really help seniors, is to slow down the rise in Medicare costs or increase Social Security cost of living adjustment, which is a whole different topic I can cover in another video in the future. Another news or another change that happened this year is that the full retirement age went up by 2 years, 2 months, from 66 years and 8 months to 66 years and 10 months. So if you were born in 1959, your full retirement age is 66 years and 10 months. Why is that important? Well, for two reasons. Number one, if you are working and collecting Social Security and you haven't reached your full retirement age, if you pass the earnings threshold, your benefits are going to be reduced. So it's important, number one, to know your full retirement age, and number two, to know the earnings threshold. So that's what I'm going to talk about next. In 2025, seniors under the full retirement age can earn up to $23,400 before their Social Security benefits are reduced. How much will they reduce your Social Security benefits? If you go over this limit, for every $2 you go above it, you're going to lose $1 of your Social Security benefits. Now, if 2025 is your full retirement age year, you can work and earn up to $62,160 and not lose any part of your Social Security benefits. But for every $1 you go above it, for every $3 you go above that $62,000 limit, you're going to lose $1 of your benefits. But once you reach full retirement age, there is no earnings cap. so you can work as much as you want and not lose benefits. So it's important to note 3 things. Number 1, if you're working and collecting Social Security, you need to pay attention to the earnings gap, because remember, I just talked about overpayment. The way some seniors end up in an overpayment situation and owing the Social Security Administration money is because they were not reporting their earnings correctly. And so what happens is that your Social Security benefits should have been reduced, but since you were not reporting your earnings correctly and you were going over the earnings threshold and the Social Security Administration was not adjusting your Social Security check, over time, that's going to catch up to you, because you're going to be there and then you're going to receive a letter from the Social Security Administration that you owe thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And not only that, they are going to stop your benefits and use your Social Security check to pay back everything you owe until it's all paid off. So the way to avoid getting into an overpayment situation if you're on Social Security is to pay attention to the earnings limit if you're collecting benefits under your full retirement age. Now, if you're on disability benefits, there is something called the substantial gainful activity. It works in a similar way. If you're working on and you're on disability, you have to pay attention to the substantial gainful activity limit, because if you go over that limit, your disability benefits should be reduced on a monthly basis. And if you don't report that earnings and it catches up to you, not only would they reduce your benefit, they may even cancel your disability, because it shows that you can work. Because if you're consistently earning above the substantial gainful activity limit, you're telling the Social Security Administration that you can work. And so you don't need disability anymore. So you need to pay attention to that limit. There is a lot of news on the drug front, drug importation. This is going to save a lot of seniors money. Pay attention to what Florida is doing. I think every state should be doing this. Florida has received FDA approval to import prescription drugs from Canada where prices are 50% lower. This could save seniors hundreds or even thousands of dollars each year in medications like insulin. Now, 12 other states are pursuing a similar program, aiming to cut out-of-pocket costs for chronic diseases. If successful, this could become a national model for reducing prescription drug expenses. The FDA is expediting approval for generics and biosimilars, increasing competition and lowering prices. This is expected to make drug prices more affordable for seniors. Now, of course, the drug manufacturers and drug industry are not happy about this. They've been fighting these changes in court, and they are citing, check this out. So the government is trying to reduce drug costs for seniors, and importing drugs from Canada is an option. As I said, Florida is going to do it. It's going to cut costs by 50%. The drug manufacturers and drug industry have gone to court, and they are citing safety. They are telling us that drugs coming from Canada may not be safe. That is laughable. So here is the thing. What does this mean for you? It just means that you need to pay attention and advocate, because this is how cost stays high because of things like this. Of course, drugs from Canada is safe. Florida would not be going and getting FDA approval to import drugs from Canada if they don't think it's safe. So the key point here is that it will lower your drug prices by up to 50%, which is a significant amount of money to know that there's the difference in prices just across our northern neighbors, about 50% lower. Another change that is happening this year is there's a higher earnings limit. And I have talked about that, so we will skip. We've talked about COLA already. You already know that this is one of the areas that I am very frustrated with, because I think that the whole cost of living adjustment for seniors should be reformed. The current cost of living adjustment is calculated using the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. That is how Social Security increases are calculated, using that inflation index. But that inflation index does not recognize the real cost that seniors face that causes them frustration, including healthcare costs, prescription drug costs, etc. So a 2.5% COLA, while average, if you take the last 10 years, the average COLA is 2.6. So this is not far behind that. But the real problem is that COLA has not kept up with real inflation. And part of the problem is that the index that is used to calculate your cost of living adjustment is not realistic. So if Congress wants to do something about this, they should look at how COLA is calculated and they should change the formula that is used. Moving on, President Trump has an executive order trying to crack down on immigrants and ineligible people getting Social Security. That happened in April. Let me update you on that. President Trump's April 2025 executive order strips Social Security benefit from over 6,300 undocumented immigrants and ineligible recipients. This is according to the government. This move is projected to save Social Security over $200 million annually, redirecting funds to eligible U.S. seniors. The Social Security Administration now requires enhanced in-person proofing and advanced fraud detection technology for suspicious claim. These changes are designed to prevent identity theft and fraud, which accounted for $33.5 million in misdirected payments in the 5-year period between 2013 and 2018. And as they're going to fine people now up to $10,000 for filing a false Social Security claim. And that is a new policy. And then fraud protection is being increased in 50 U.S. attorney offices, especially in regions with high undocumented population. The Social Security Administration Inspector General will also intensify oversight of eligibility and payment integrity. If you're on disability benefits or you know somebody that is, pay attention to this because this is serious. There's going to be a lot of audits. Part of what DOGE is doing and part of the belief of the current administration is that a lot of people on disability benefits are not actually disabled or should not be getting benefits. So if you're on disability or you know somebody that is, this is news you want to pass along to them. There's going to be regular audits to ensure that disability recipients still meet eligibility requirements based on income and resources. These audits are a standard part of the program, but now they're going to increase in frequency. So redeterminations, which are routine, are now going to be more stringent and are going to be happening more frequently. And the increased scrutiny is being implemented as part of a broader effort to combat fraud and ensure Social Security program integrity. Failure to meet updated requirements could lead to benefit reductions or terminations, affecting vulnerable individuals who rely on SSI for essential support, including even SSDI. To avoid disruptions, recipients should maintain accurate records and promptly report any changes in their income to the Social Security Administration. Now, if you received a surprise $6,000 deposit in your bank, here's what's happening. The Social Security Administration in April started issuing a one-time payment of $6,000 to over 3 million retirees affected by the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. These payments retroactively adjust benefits back to January 2024, providing immediate relief to over 3 million recipients. In addition to the $6,000, people are going to get checks between $150 to $500 increases and some up to $1,000 monthly increase. This is in addition. So their monthly Social Security check is going to go up. In addition to the lump sum, these retirees will see a monthly Social Security check of around $150 and some as far as $1,100, addressing a long-standing complaint about unfair benefit reduction. This increase aims to provide greater financial security for those with mixed public and private sector careers. For years, WEP and GPO had reduced or eliminated Social Security benefits for those who receive pensions from government jobs. And so let me explain what this is about. For a long time since the Reagan administration, a whole bunch of people were denied Social Security benefits that they've earned because they also worked a government job and were getting a government pension. It was a policy that was implemented during the Reagan administration to try to extend the life of Social Security Trust Fund. Well, it was a policy that a lot of people considered unfair because it affected public workers disproportionately or primarily teachers, firefighters, police officers, other state, local, and government workers. And it's been a 40-year battle for them to make this right. And finally, last year, a law was passed out of the House and Senate, signed by President Biden, that restored the money back to those people. So if your money was reduced or eliminated completely, it's going to start starting in April 2025. However, they went back to all the way to January 2024 and we're giving you a retroactive lump sum payment. It does not make whole everything you've lost, but at least it's an effort to restore some of that money to seniors that were affected. So it starts from January 2024 to March 2025. That is the $6,000 lump sum that you may have received in your bank account. Now, as I mentioned, this has started with the Reagan administration. It affects 3.2 million people. You're going to get retroactive payments. You don't have to do anything. The money will be sent to you directly. Public sector workers are eligible: teachers, firefighters, police officers, and other state and local government workers with pensions, and federal workers under the CSRS, which is the Civil Service Retirement System, are eligible if their benefits were previously reduced by the WEP or the GPO. And then spouses, surviving spouses whose benefits were impacted by GPO, will also receive retroactive payments and increased monthly checks starting April 2025. And the checks go back as January 2024. You're going to get about $6,000 on average in April, and then your monthly payments are going to kick in after that. Do you have to do anything at all to get these payments? No. The Social Security Administration has all the information they need to send your payment to you. So you should have received money by now if you were impacted by this. If you are not, or you are eligible and did not get the money, call the Social Security Administration at 1-800-772-1213. And then finally, if you're turning 65 soon, this year, or soon, or you are currently on Medicare, I have great news for you. There is so much activity happening, so many changes happening with Medicare. It's hard to keep up. Even California was trying to fix some of the Medicare loopholes and were unsuccessful. And some seniors are being told that their Medicare plans are being dropped. And in some states, you are made to choose between your Medicare plan or stick with your doctor. And that is causing a lot of seniors anxiety. Why is this happening? Well, it's because there are 24,000 Medicare plans out there. And as a senior, if you're turning 65 or you're currently on Medicare, you're supposed to figure out what plan is right for you, fits your budget, fix the coverage you need. Each plan have their own options and restrictions and costs. And it's a lot of information to digest and figure out. And that is why 90% of all seniors are in the wrong Medicare plan. And it can cost you a lot of money. $300,000 a year if you're in the wrong Medicare plan, that seniors are spending as a couple just on Medicare expenses. And then it can affect your health. There's nothing worse than needing care and finding out that something that you think you were covered is no longer covered, or the plan has been dropped, or your doctor is no longer in the network. So we have partnered with an amazing organization, Chapter Medicare. Their whole goal is to make Medicare simple for you to understand, for you to choose the right plan, and for you to use your Medicare benefits. This service is free to you. Chapter are the real deal. And this came out of a personal experience for one of the co-founders. He says he watched his parents struggle to navigate the process of choosing a Medicare plan and wound up paying premiums that were hundreds of thousands of dollars a month that they ought not have paid. He realized that this was a whole terrible experience, the whole Medicare process, and they started this company to fix it. Another co-founder is an expert on Medicare. He wrote a book about it. He's an attorney. And here's what he has to say. When I first started my job as a Medicare advisor, I discovered that many Americans were getting misled into buying the wrong plans simply because no one took the time to sit them down and explain what was going on. So their whole mission is to help you understand what your options are and make the right decision. They're the only Medicare advisory company that have access to all 24,000 plans, so they can see what is in your local area and help you pick the right plan. And this is the biggest reason why we are partnering with Chapter Medicare. They do not incentivize their licensed agents to sell you a particular plan. They are not there to advocate for the insurance company. They're there to advocate for you. I've been creating content for seniors for 15 years now. I have never partnered with a Medicare advisory until now because these guys are the real deal. And here's why. These are the people you're going to be talking to when you call Chapter. These are real people on their website. I pull some of for you to just see that these are actual humans that you're going to be speaking to when you call them on the phone. And here's what they're going to do when you call them. They will show you every Medicare option that is available to you, including detailed information about doctors, specialists, prescription drugs, hospitals that are covered, what co-pays you have to pay, and how each of those plans compare to traditional Medicare. So I'm saying all this to say there is help, there is free help to you. If you're turning 65 or you're on a plan you're not happy with, call Chapter or go to the website, or there's a link to a description in the description for this video. Click on the link and fill out the form, reach out to them, or go to askchapter.org/insider. These guys are the real deal. They will save you money and help you pick the best plan that is available to you. A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, lots of 5-star reviews. So all that to say, Chapter can help you sort out all your Medicare issues. So give them a call. And finally, if you are frustrated or you feel you cannot keep up with all the changes that are happening with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, etc., well, we've created a newsletter. You can sign up for free. There is a link on our YouTube video at the description of our channel. Click on that link, sign up, or go to this website. It is free and will keep you posted on not only news in and out of Congress that's going to affect your benefits, but money saving tips and all the programs that you are eligible for that you may not know that we want to bring your attention to. So sign up for our newsletter and get real-time information about your benefits. So that is all I have on this Sunday evening. I hope that it was helpful to you, and thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow in my next video.